So this week we celebrate the 8th Sunday of Ordinary Time. And again, like last week, it's not every year that we celebrate the 8th Sunday of Ordinary Time. It kind of gets squeezed out by the Lenten and Easter seasons. But in our readings this week, we get real sound wisdom on how to practically live our lives day to day. Our first reading comes from the book of Sirach. The book of Sirach was written around 200 BC. It was one of the last books of the Old Testament written. It was the last of the wisdom literature that was written. So it provides kind of a summary of the wisdom literature. It's sometimes called the book of Ecclesiasticus. That's because that's the book of the church, because the church would use that to summarize the moral teachings that come from the Old Testament. In this week's reading, we're getting advice to an elderly man, a person of stature, a person of honor, and being warned, right, that their speech is important, right, that their speech reflects what's within them internally. Our second reading comes again from the letter of Paul to the Corinthians, and Paul is continuing to tell us the importance of our belief in the resurrection. Here, Paul proclaims that victory over death because of the resurrection of Christ. That yes, Paul reminds us that our hope for eternal life affects our life here and now. That all labor is not in vain. That everything we do points towards our eternal life. The smallest acts of kindness and love done by the Lord will be remembered and rewarded in that eternal life. In our gospel today, we get the third part of the Sermon on the Plain, Luke's account of that great sermon of Jesus. Here in this third part, Jesus uses vivid images, parables, to preach a message. There are three main messages of our gospel. First, the importance of a teacher as a model. He uses that image of a blind person leading a blind person. Our second message is the danger of hypocrisy. He uses that image of noticing a splinter in your neighbor's eye while you have a wooden beam in your eye. And third, the mark of a good person. He uses that image of good fruit and bad fruit that's produced. It's good for all of us to stop back and reflect. Where are your blind spots? What is that beam that is in your eye? And are you bearing good fruit or rotten fruit?